Fiddlesticks being banned out, Sven Skaren has been playing a lot of Evelyn this week, and I'm wondering if Millenium are going to do another jungle ban, maybe an Eve, to force Sven Skaren into something like a Pantheon or a Wukong. If they don't, then I think this is a little bit of an oddball ban, and they probably could have got a little more from it.
Well, they were laughing about that one, so I'm wondering if they didn't quite hit the wrong buttons. They do take away Evelyn as their third and final ban. Kha'Zix, of course, taken away from Cottonex. That's been his real go-to, and to be honest, he's been so good on these Kha'Zix games that we've seen from him this week against Alliance and the Super Hot Crew.
So straight up focus from Millenium, they are saying they want to reduce Sven Skaren's effective power in the early game. With Ziggs being banned out, it means Gragas is still up and available, and you know, we've seen both Kerp and Jesus playing a large amount of those two champions. I think for the junglers, you have to consider the likes of Pantheon or Wukong as top tier. You've still got Lee Sin, who's available as well, but neither Cottonex or Sven Skaren have trended towards Lee Sin all that much this split.
So Lulu was left open and available, and it looks like Millenium going to take that one. They did play in their last game against Roccat. Of course, they lost that one. 0-3-1 was the performance that Kurt brought to the table. But over on the other side, what are SK going to lock in? No messing around for Freddy. He wants that Trundle against Kevin, and he's going to get it there as the first pick. Sven Skaren hovering currently over Elise.
So Freddy's played Trundle a couple of times this week already. What we've also seen from SK is a Jinx and a Karma, generally being the combos that work around that. You've got strong engage, you've got strong disengage. You can chase with those champions. Trundle's actually good on the front foot and on the back foot. So knowing that they are still up, if we see Millenium locking in champions that are going to be a little more difficult to get to the back line, a little more difficult to get past Trundle's pillars, Candy Panda could just lock in that Jinx. So we'll see what he decides to train with. Creating a super safe pick. Didn't even hesitate. That was as close to insta-lock Lucian as you can get. And he's just going to be on a comfort champion right now.
So what are we going to go with here as a second and third? Lucian was locked in there for Creighton and taking the Rise as well. Now, we've seen that Lulu and Rise can swap positions between that top lane and mid lane, so it'll be interesting to see whether Freddy ends up getting his hands on the Rise or the Lulu by the end of it.
Yeah, the Lulu also was played support yesterday, and I'm trying to rack my brain who it was that ran it. Whoa. Might have been Millenium, actually. Lulu, Shyvana, Lucian, Wukong, Leona.
It was Super Hot Crew.
It was Super Hot Crew, ran it as that support champion. So the possibility is there, knowing that you can put Rise in Kevin's hands or in Kerb's hands, and having that versatility to swap them around. We'll see how they play it out.
So Leona, Twitch, the two picks here for SK Gaming, and we actually saw Twitch yesterday as well. We were just talking about the Super Hot Crew. They played it along with Lulu against SK Gaming. Candy Panda in the past has played a lot of Twitch in there as well, and I'll tell you what, if Enrated has half as good a game as with Leona than he did yesterday, that's scary news for Millenium.
I completely agree, and when you combine Solar Flare plus the Trundle Pillar of Ice, that allows you to line up your spray and pray much more effectively. The Twitch yesterday from Super Hot Crew, I feel, was not an optimal pick because they had a long-range siege poke kind of champions. They were trying to rotate around the map and take towers, and they didn't, Twitch doesn't really benefit those comps all that well. What you're also seeing from the side of Millenium, Rise and Lulu want to be running at you. They want to be, they're fairly linear in their approaches, which allows you to set up a good zone and good positioning on that spray and pray. So I think it's a smart choice this time around once we get to those team fights.
And Morgana was locked in here as well, and not played much Morgana actually has Jerry. In fact, to my mind, only played it once, and that was way back against the Copenhagen Wolves, a game that they end up losing out on. Pantheon will be the jungler of choice here, though, for Cottonex.
So we need to see now how Millenium are going to play this comp out. They've got pretty strong scaling, with both Lulu and Rise going to do very, very well as the game goes on. And to supplement their weaker laning phases, you've got a very strong ganking jungler in the form of Pantheon. His on-hit stun and his level 6 Grand Skyfall can turn the tide of those lanes. But on the same token, SK Gaming have got very good scaling champions as well. Trundle's going to do well the later you go. Orianna's always going to hit a point where shockwaves have the ability to kill people, but you need to land them. And I've not been particularly impressed with many Oriannas actually in the last few weeks. I don't want to call Jesus out in particular, but as a champion, she's not shone well. You do have a good wombo combo setup. Pillar, Solar Flare, Shockwave, Spray and Pray, everyone's dead. If they all land.
If they all land, and that's the key point on this one. If we look back to SK's victories, the one against the Copenhagen Wolves in particular, against Gambit last week, even Leona was a great pick for N-rated. He wasn't missing much of anything. If you can start that fight off perfectly, you're in good stead for the rest of it.
Yeah, and I think it's the same token actually for both of these teams. You know, both of these teams have got pretty hard CC, they've got pretty good damage, but the key is going to be, can they begin the fight on the right terms, in the right location? And that's going to determine who can win those fights.
Well, let's check in and see how you guys predict this match will play out. According to the votes, you think SK will win by almost 3/4, 74%. It's a big number. For me, it's first against 8. That number could have been bigger.
I think I probably would have thought it would have been bigger. I mean, SK are 17-10. You know, in the overall wins and losses, you're looking at Millenium who are 9-18. But I must admit, Millenium have been looking better this week. Their games have actually impressed me. Yesterday's Wukong from Cottonex left a lot to be desired. And this is the first time we're going to see him on Pantheon in the LCS. So let's see how he handles himself.
Well, we are going to be getting into game here. It's Millenium taking on SK Gaming. The final game of the split for both of these teams. For Millenium, it's a difference between a possible 7th and 8th. They've got to win this one to still have the chance to land in 7th, but it also requires the Super Hot Crew to lose later on in the day. SK, they have that first position. There's no pressure on them.
Now, there's nothing for SK to lose. So knowing that they're playing for bragging rights, knowing that they're playing to basically deny Millenium a chance, you know, we'll see how that affects their gameplay. SK are grouped up, going towards the river. Now, Kevin is playing zone. If he tries to bait members of SK in, a Dark Binding could be a long enough route to secure kills, especially if Pantheon commits to his Aegis of Zonia, the W stun. That could be somebody deaded very quickly.
Deaded. Spiders are best deaded as well, if you ask me. Svenskeren is just holding on there. Millenium have spotted him out. You can see a lot of pings coming in. Are they going to try something funky?
Yeah, they're going to be able to throw out this Dark Binding or place the ward down. Millenium are setting up for a late invade. The reason they haven't moved yet, they're waiting to see what SK do, how they plan. That's a flash. Oh, he's in trouble.
That was not the best flash I've ever seen. First blood comes down, they do get one back, but they're going to go hell for leather here. Cottonex, the next target. All that Twitch damage ticking away, the Ignite's in as well. Cottonex, one more tick, will take him down. That's 2-1 to SK here from the early game. With a flash from J-Ree. For me, very, very strange. Went over the wall, I think, expecting that Svenskeren would be there alone and not having 3 people in the bush. Candy Panda coming in towards Kevin. He was trying to recall, won't get in range. Crazy start.
Yeah, so Candy Panda pops their ambush, was trying to get some kills, and you read the situation perfectly, Joe. Millenium were anticipating Svenskeren was going to be alone in the jungle. Flash over the wall, land a binding, and you can kill him. You've seen how quickly he went down. But at the end of the day, because Millenium got too deep and found more members of SK, they end up losing that trade 2-1. Kills were secured on the junglers as well as the support. So, believe it or not the worst thing to happen. Before 2 minutes in the game, First Blood is worth 60% of the regular value, which is 400 gold. So it's only 200 gold to your supports or your junglers. So it's not game-changing, but it will help them get to their first item quicker.
You see the lane swaps coming in as well. The duos, Creaton and J-Ree against Candy Panda and Enrated will be in this top lane, which will leave Kevin and Freddy to duke it out down bottom. There's a Dark Binding landing from J-Ree, and he's definitely had mixed performances, J-Ree. I'd say a lot better these last week in the Super Week. Millenium as an entire unit have performed, I think, better than the level that we've really seen them before this Super Week.
I agree. I think Millenium, they needed some time to settle in with Cottonex. The first week that he played, Millenium still had teething problems, I think is the best way to describe it. You know, they struggled at different portions of the game. This week, those issues aren't there. Now, we do see Candy Panda and Enrated. With this Twitch pick, Twitch is a bully in lane, and Leona is an all-in support. So until Enrated is strong enough or has enough levels to go all in on this Lucian Morgana, it's going to be a small advantage to Millenium. But we're not seeing J-Ree play aggressively at all. He's not going for poke. We're not really seeing him trying to control SK as much as maybe he could be getting away with. Svenskeren is going to sneak behind Kevin. Kevin does have his flash, though. He
does have his flash, and there is the pillar coming down. Kevin keeping a hold of that flash, and he uses it at the perfect time, just as the cocoon was thrown out by Svenskeren. He doesn't have a flash anymore, so he's going to have to be at least careful how far he goes up that lane now.
Yeah, and luckily for Rise, he's not the strongest of wave pushers, but then neither is Freddy on Trundle. So we'll see how that lane continues to play out. With the swap in favor of the duo lanes being in this top lane, it should allow Svenskeren a little bit of extra time to roam around and try get in behind from that tri-bush. It's a little bit easier to gank that one-on-one in that particular side when you're on red.
So the mid lane being rather quiet, both of them having an assist from that crazy level 1 fight that we saw, but it is Jesus who, up until now, is getting the better of the farm here. He's going to get slowed down. He does have a flash similar to what we saw from Kevin. He didn't use it in that level 1 action and actually just walked away there. It looks like Cottonex decided not to chase through.
Yeah, you actually seen Kerp using his Whimsy on himself. So he got the movement speed increase and was trying to just run after Jez's. I think I would have preferred Kerp to turn Jez's into a Munchkin, reduce his movement speed, maybe get some time for Pantheon to get in range, but at that particular time it didn't work out. Now this Morgana versus Leona lane is one that we see often, and what we've seen from Nif last week was how effective you can be jumping on the target with Black Shield and turning your focus to somebody else to stun them with your Shield of Daybreak, the Q. And I want to see if N-Rater can pull off the same sort of combos, because Nif was phenomenal at that exact plan last week.
Svenskeren actually was spotted here heading down. And I did see that Cottonex had come around and he will just back away from that one. Speaking of backing away, Kevin there trying to escape in the bottom side. The pillar comes down out of Trundle, and now it's N-Rated actually going pretty deep, but Millenium doing well here to start to turn things around. This is going to be some free damage back onto the Twitch.
Yeah, advantage to Millenium, because Candy Panda is so much lower. He's got to be very, very careful when he decides to go in. If he gets caught by a Dark Binding and you combo the burst and the passive from Lucian, that could be a dead rat. The one thing that I liked about that little interruption in the bottom lane between Freddy and Kevin is it delays that early tier. Yes, it's 30 seconds, but basically Freddy's trying the best that he can to mitigate this laning power that Ryze has. You can see Kevin is already 12 CS down, in addition to losing that flash thanks to a well-timed gank by Svenskeren.
I did see Freddy headed home as well. He picked himself up that Vamp Scepter, so he's going to have some nice sustain coming back into this. We did see Kevin use his teleport to come back in lane. Freddy actually walked back, so he still has that teleport available if it's going to be needed.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. You know, it's a bit more difficult to go for those early dragons when you've got your solo laner. On the bottom half of the map, it takes a longer time. You don't have quite as much damage. But because Svenskeren's on Elise, she's one of the stronger early game junglers thanks to all of her spiderlings. Even after the nerfs, she still offers a lot of presence in that dragon pit. So we'll see if SK decides to go for any sort of risky dragons. And there's an example. Kevin just putting as much poke down as he can onto Freddy. He's not really doing a whole lot.
No, not much damage coming through that one. Freddy has hit level 6. There's Kevin hitting 6 as well. He's
half his mana.
Half of his mana is gone here, and we are going to see Svenskeren coming around. Freddy is going to go forward. There's a pillar. There's no flash for Kevin. It's all about dodging the cocoon. It actually was missed there, the cocoon. Freddy thought about going in further under the tower, but they don't quite have the HP to dive.
No, the cocoon was a little bit wide. I think Svenskeren was anticipating Kevin to run a tad quicker than he actually was. So Kevin gets away with his life once more. The movement speed that he gains from his ultimate also helped him out there. That desperate power just letting Ryze run a little bit quicker from the Trundle and Elise. But what we are seeing is Svenskeren, he moved towards the top lane for a tiny bit, but he didn't go for any gank. He's only ganked this mid lane. He wants to get Freddy to a position where Freddy can split push against Ryze and try keep him controlled, keep him locked in a particular lane.
Freddy just getting a ward in there. Also, while we're talking about jungles and their presence, Cottonex not really been all over the map as we may have expected from him. He's trying to farm up to that level 6 so he gets his Grand Skyfall. That gives him obviously a lot more mobility to be moving in there. And we'll see if he does have that impact once he does get his first level in his ultimate. I'm guessing he's going to go home after doing that red buff, though. He's not got any mana to work with.
So I feel like when you watch Pantheons, their first Grand Skyfall reminds me very much of Karthus's first Requiem, in that if it's not successful at getting a kill, it's such a long cooldown and it's such a big investment in controlling a lane that you've got this now window where Pantheon is no longer a threat. So SK will be unabashed if they want to play more aggressively and push the lanes up, knowing that Pantheon can't get them. So let's see how Cottonex handles his first Grand Skyfall and if it can work out. Right now, SK with another invade. This is another blue buff steal. Remember, they got the first one very early on.
Could have really done with his Grand Skyfall there, Cottonex. Still level 5, couldn't come around. No one from Millenium tried to really contest that one and stop it from happening. And that leaves us 2-1 in kills in favor of SK Gaming. not quite got a 2,000 gold lead at this stage of things, but some more items are starting to come in. For example, BF Sword for Candy Panda on Twitch. He has a 10 CS lead. If you compare that over to Creatine, obviously 10 CS behind, with a Vamp Scepter.
Now, because both of these duo lanes have hit level 6, if Enrated plays the engage correctly and manages to stun people up, he can go for those kills. The poison of Twitch from his passive will proc Leona's passive, so they've got a lot of additional damage to work with. We talked about how Elise is a strong early game jungler, and they secure the first dragon. That was completely uncontested. Here's the first Skyfall.
Mandrop coming in, there's the ultimate coming out. J-Re and Rated flashes very early. The binding goes wide, and this is what you were talking about. If the first one doesn't come in, you got a big cooldown on that, and they're going to have to wait quite a while now to get involved. Yes, they got the flash from Enrated, but that's not really going to bother him too much, I think.
There's over 2 minutes that it's going to take for that cooldown to become available. So SK Gaming are going to have this respite, and they're going to know that they're not in big threat from that ability. They've already secured the dragon. From a pure CS advantage, they are winning every single lane right now. That Relic Shield is doing a lot of work for Enrated, and Creatine and J-Re have not pressured Candy Panda and Enrated when they were at their weakest before level 6. Now it's so much riskier to make that work. So we'll see how Millenium decide to pull this one back, because they've invested a lot and got nothing. They could jump. Oh, this is Enrated in trouble.
Gonna go into that one. Continex was waiting now, and Enrated now in all kinds of trouble. That is a good solar flare. Continex has to flash away. Candy Panda's gonna get that kill. They do lose the support, but is he wanting to fight more here? J-Re's at less than half HP. In the end, it's a 1-for-1. SK lost their support. Millennium lost their jungler.
Yeah, now Kerp may be in trouble of being dived. Here comes Svenskeren from the side.
Can they control him? Shockwave flashed away from by Kerp. Good reactions. That would have almost certainly been the death of him. The turret will go down, though.
Yeah, at the end of the day, SK are going to be happy with that one. They didn't need to burn in any of their flashes, and Candy Panda's playing brave against J-Re and Creatine.
Oh, he's in all kinds of trouble here. There is a Cully coming out. Candy Panda trying to walk off, actually using his barrier, and he stayed alive for a while, but honestly, the barrier, I'm not sure it was needed.
That was so good between Creatine and J-Re. They kept landing damage, and thanks to the Tormented Soil on the ground, it prevented Candy Panda from getting into ambush. There is a delay on ambush if you are taking damage, so they kept vision on them. We'll get to that in a second as Svenskeren's found Continex.
And he's going to do a huge amount of damage to him as well. Half of his HP just absolutely shredded off. Now they turn it around. Wild Growth goes in. Svenskeren trying to escape. Kerp's not really got much mana here, but Svenskeren is pretty low. There's the command protect, and Sven can walk off.
So Freddy was making his way through the jungle, and that was where the hesitation came from on Continex and Kerp's side. You also seen Jesus making his way to the jungle. The knock-up from Continex with the Wild Growth didn't actually catch onto Svenskeren. So that slow initial knock-up wasn't there, and that was just enough for Svenskeren to escape with his life. I want to go all the way back to that 2-on-3 that we had in the top lane. Enrated went aggressive, and it was at the worst possible time because Continex was in the bush with him. But like we talked about, a good solar flare and a well-placed spray and pray is going to deal a lot of damage, and it melted through Continex and J-Re's HP pool. Luckily for Millennium, Creatine was off to the side, so he wasn't hit by all of that spray and pray damage. But at the end of the day, Candy Panda grabs himself a kill. They come out 1-for-1 in a 3v2 situation.
And now coming back into lane, the Bloodthirster is done for Candy Panda. Creatine only got the BF Sword and Vamp Scepter of that one, so see if they end up getting in there again. If Enrated, once his cooldowns are back, which actually Solar Flare is now off cooldown, whether he wants to have a go and try and get involved and have a fight in this lane. Mid lane, if we look at the CS, it's a bit of domination from Jesus right now. They've come close to killing Kerp a couple of times as well. Continex though is waiting here in case Enrated does go aggressive.
Yeah, Continex is making his focus clear. We've seen Svenskeren focusing on the top laners, and we've seen Millennium's jungler Continex focusing on those duo laners. So we'll have to see how or who gets the next gank. Continex has just backed away. He was sitting in this bush for 15 or so seconds, and typical, the moment he leaves, all of a sudden Svenskeren's here, and the timing is perfect. Blue buff should be respawning in the not too distant future, and I think SK are going to try to get some more control. There's already vision, and we'll see how they play out the buff steal.
Well, why not? They've had it that last time, so might as well take it away again and prevent that going over to Kerp. They're going to push out that top lane. First of all, we can see that Kerp is actually moving up towards the top as well, just in case they do get called into action. SK had backed away from blue. The blue has now spawned. They've got the vision of it, but the top lane is coming around.
Yeah, this could be so bad if Jerry can stun them up. Oh, he's caught Svenskeren!
Oh, Svenskeren in all kinds of trouble here. It's going to repel, but where's he going to go? Actually comes down to the side of them. Is he going to get away? Too much shockwave! Spray and pray comes around the side, and that's Candy Panda taking down J-Ree. It will be a 2-for-1 in the end. The blue buff actually was smited by Kotonek, so although SK didn't get it, Millenium were forced to put it onto their jungler again.
That was a phenomenal spray and pray. Once again, we talked about the positioning. If Millenium group up, spray and pray's damage gets multiplied. Now, even though Svenskeren gets caught out here, I wonder if it's not blue between getting the kill on Svenskeren regardless. Smart play by Sven. Shockwave comes in, it only catches 2 thanks to a flash from Creatine. And look at the damage. That was 2 shots of a spray and pray. They get the kill on J-Ree, get the kill on Kirpin. Just out of range for that Zenith Blade means letting him get away unscathed. But that's the 3rd blue buff in a row that has been secured for SK Gaming. That is the 2nd kill now for Candy Panda on Twitch, and he started himself off very well this game.
Easy, crazy game so far. 5-4 in kills. SK holding that gold lead out though. Plus they did take that first dragon as well. Bit of a sneaky dragon it was. I think that the timer was there because Kevin put a ward over the top of that dragon wall, and that will be coming up here in just 20 seconds time. Both top laners or solo laners, we call them since they're down the bottom right now, do have teleport available, but SK are already moving in position.
Millenium shouldn't fight this. They are 3,000 gold down, and they have champions that will get destroyed in that tight enclosure. If they get caught by the solar flare or the shockwave, it just amplifies everything else that SK is going to be doing, and they can get zoned away. Oh, who got red? It was Sven.
Svenskeren got that one. He just sunk the claws in. Freddy's actually coming around as well. Can they do the damage? Svenskeren going low. Here comes Jesus. There's a shockwave. It misses completely. Carnex goes down. But look at Kevin's health. He's got enough to finish off both of them here. But Freddy is completely controlling him. There's a flash from Kevin. No! He goes down. He's not able to pick up the kill. Kirk's going to be waiting. Here comes Morgana. Jesus is going to have to suicide this one if he wants to get away. Kirk is going to get the damage and the kill onto him though. In the meantime, the top turret went down. The other 2 from SK did manage to walk through and away from the jungle. I don't think they want the dragon at this point though. Svenskeren's far too low for that.
Yeah, there's not enough support for Svenskeren to solo this dragon down. A 2-for-1 at the end of the day. And that was with Svenskeren getting caught out. Svenskeren was out of position and surrounded, but Jesus and Freddy were close enough that they could get in range. Now remember, the shockwave didn't touch a soul. There was a flash away from Cotnex to avoid the damage. And that actually is very, very important. Had that shockwave landed, there may have been enough damage to turn that around and get even more from it. While all that fight was happening, SK secure the top lane tower, and you see how far down Candy Panda had pushed. It was just Creatine left alone in that lane for a few minutes, and the rest of the SK are just going to reset, spend the money, and probably set up for this dragon again.
Kevin going to be disappointed with that one, and well, that's the Rise early on, you know, picking up that tier, got himself that castle. He's not got masses of damage, but that was kind of the dollar signs in front of him, you know, 2 very, very low players. As it was, they controlled him well enough to not lose a single man to Kevin. Meanwhile, Dragon, of course, did spawn in, and SK have a 4-man team pretty much around that one. Trundle will come up from that bottom lane. Pantheon and Rise, the only 2 in immediate area there to stop that happening.
So the reason I don't think Millenium's composition will do well in these dragon engages is because they have to fight past the pillar, which is going to make Rise, Lulu, and Pantheon's jobs very, very difficult. To run around and through that very large slope, it is painful. In addition to that, you're going to have that solar flare I keep talking about. They've jumped on Freddy. SK are a little far away.
Okay, going to be used from this one though. That'll get him some health back, and Freddy turning things around somewhat. And that's because the rest of the team's coming. Kevin may have outstayed his welcome from this one. Cocoon lands on towards Karnak. He's a target. Great solar flare to the back, and Kotanek falling low will be finished off here by Freddy. The rest of them have to back up. Flash from J-Ree. And that will be the shockwave, that's the name of it, not quite connecting onto them. Kirp's there onto the side as well. Meanwhile, Candy Panda and Creatine are going to be going up in a 1 versus 1. A lot of damage coming out from Candy Panda. Not enough to get the kill, though.
Not enough to get through the barrier. Flashes down. Now, SK have forced Millenium away from the bottom lane. This is going to open up the bottom outer turret, as well as allow them to rotate around and finish off that dragon. Every single time Jesus throws down that shockwave, somebody blows flash to get away from it. Kirp does get the tower, and thanks to the Whimsy speed, he should be able to escape unscathed.
Bleeding off through. Meanwhile, down in the bottom, everything breaking out. Mandrop comes in from Cornex. They're going for Freddy, but he's a tankiest man. Is he really the one they want? Freddy will get the kill on Cornex. Starts to walk away. Great repel there as Kerper's 1v1 Jesus in the SK jungle. Candy Panda's taken down the inner top turret. Enrated getting hit there by the Dark Binding. There's nothing more to have here in the bottom lane.
I think Enrated wanted to turn back in on Millenium. My assumption is he turned into that to try go for a Zenith Blade. If they had combined the Zenith Blade with a Cocoon, there would have been enough damage with Freddy to, burst down that very squishy Morgana. Luckily, for Millenium, I think it didn't work out. Now Candy Pan and Creatine, they're at it again.
Oh, Creatine gonna go low, but look at Lulu. Lulu's moving in. There was a flash from Creatine. He didn't really need to flash, I think, with that one. Kurt would have been there in time. Now they're gonna try and chase Candy Panda away.
Ambush.
Can he escape from it? Can he get that ambush off in time? And Millenium pretty much just gonna give up on this one.
That was actually a smart play. Ambush is still available, but it takes a small time to channel. Candy started, it might be late. Oh, no, it's not.
Just in time. I was actually really low on mana there as well, which didn't really help his case. Did get away in the end, though, a big 2v1 chase. This is that 1v1 between Jesus and Kurt.
So if you look at the summoner spells, the Shockwave just wasn't there, and Kurp's just going to straight up auto-attack and Glitzer lance him down. I mean, you get Whimsy, you can't do anything. That was quite close, but Kurp, with his ultimate available, the shield from his help picks, and the ability to stop Jazz's auto-attacks thanks to his Whimsy, it was just very well played by Kurp. Straight up outplay.
Down on the bottom once again, Freddy into a push position. Kevin trying to get as much farm as he can here, but close to 50 CS behind. 2-0-4. Look at the build there from Freddy. Got himself Spirit Vision, got a Vant Scepter, and that Tiamat in there as well. Jerry actually may get caught out from this one. Are they going to go into him? Zenith Blade whipping wide. This is actually going to be turned into a 3v4, but Freddy is just 1v1ing Jerry down on the bottom. Here comes Creatine now. Enrated going to take the damage. Svenskoi comes from the side. Where's the Shockwave they need? Oh, they already used the Shockwave before that. Excuse me. And now they're chasing on to Creatine. He's so very squishy. He's going to go down. Kurt, the next one to fall as well. Surely, two men going to chase him now. They've got the movement speed. That's taken away instantly by Kurt, who's going to probably try and get up towards the tower. Candy Panda here off to the side as well. The spray and pray going through. He's going to get a double kill. It's going to be a triple here for Candy Panda. The rat clearing up.
That was a 4 versus 5 in the Tribush that SK Gaming won. Candy Panda wasn't even with his team when it looked like Freddy had been caught out. But there's not enough burst damage to get through Trundle when he's on his Frozen Domain and with Subjugate. He healed through so much of the damage Millenium put out. Then because Millenium couldn't focus enough members of SK Gaming, they just didn't get the kills they needed to. Candy Panda flanks from the side, as you can do on a Twitch, picks up 3 kills, gets another tower, and he's going to be able to ambush and get away cleanly. At this point in time, Millenium are so far behind, they need to get superior vision and instantly kill a target to push the waves out. It's so risky to get caught out of position against all of the hard crowd control on SK side.
That fight, just dead.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
Do it more.
And now they need to get wards. So that was Grand Skyfall from Cotnex. He invested his ultimate, but he did get the kill. Now, Candy Panda's playing Scout. Millenium don't know he's here yet, and you can see the rest of SK trying to roll around. Spray and Pray is not up, so this is a good time for Millenium to get some global gold, but they can't get hit by too many members of that Solar Flare.
Rated coming in, and there is in fact the Dragon taken away, and Rated has gone very deep from this one. Cornex going to get caught out. He put the stun down onto Candy Panda. Won't be enough for him though. Freddy now on the Troll Rampage at 4-0-4. Ravenous Hydra is complete for him with that Spirit Visage, and we saw in that last fight it was 4 versus 2 for such a long time. Him and Enrated tanking through everything, and then they just turned it around once the rest of the team came in. Only one man survived it, that was Kurt, and now they're pushing on towards this inner middle turret. It's going to be down to the base here of Millenium.
Millenium need to set up a defense on these inhibitor turrets. They do have pretty good wave clear with that Lulu. Get Lulu to use her glitter lancers to take the wave out, and then you've got the culling for backup as well as Rise. His desperate power gives a lot of AoE, and because the rest of his spells reduce the cooldown on his ultimate by a second with each cast, it is available very frequently. The problem is they're both pretty short range. Lulu has to commit help picks to a minion and then line it up in a perfect way. So it's a pretty difficult wave clear, and we'll see if Millenium can siege out. SK have shown no hesitation to dive, no hesitation to go all in. So Millenium are going to be hard-pressed to defend these turrets if SK say, we want to fight now, when you consider they've got double the kills, 5 more towers, and a bunch of dragons as well.
And the items coming in, Rabadon's Death Cap for Orianna, for Jesus there. Phantom Dancer actually now complete for both AD carries. The difference being that there's almost the last whisper done here for Candy Panda as well. And we've seen how much damage he comes in with, pretty much just executing everyone as they got low from that little fight before it. So SK definitely in the driving seat of this one. They're not too far away from having a 10,000 gold lead. You have to expect that that's probably going to happen to them at some point. Kevin has got Rod of Ages. He's got himself another blasting wand in there as well to move up towards that Archangel staff, but I don't think Freddy's even remotely scared of him. I think they're going to go in for this one. Candy Panda going to meet Kurt. This is bad news for Candy Panda, or is it? The rest of the team are now coming in here. Kurt falls low. Kurt shut down by Candy Panda, and Freddy tanking out 3 men again at the bottom. Got Kevin low. Solar Flare completely missing there, though, from Enrated. Question is, will they feel confident enough to just stick around and have a go on the tower? Yes, they will.
There's no doubt they will. They've caught Kevin.
They've caught Kevin. Shockwave is going to miss. That was Kevin once again flashing away. Seems to be the story of the day here for Jesus and Orianna. Jerry's going to go low. He has to flash out of the fight. That inhibitor is going to fall as Candy Panda goes aggressive again. Can't get any more kills, though.
SK Gaming, they had the option to continue pushing on the towers. There was still a dead curve, but wisely they're going to back away. They've got an inhibitor down at the 24-minute mark, and it just seems like SK Gaming are playing super aggressively. Yesterday, we talked about how they were playing from behind after the laning phase, and after today's discussion, that's not the case. That's a man drop on Candy Panda.
Man drop coming in. It's Candy Panda that's the focus, but Svenska and Enrated are there off to the side. Carnex has been 1v1 here. Just managed to get the shutdown, though, onto Candy Panda. Enrated goes low. There is Creaton helping out to get the kill onto Jesus, but Creaton will fall. It's the troll in the middle of the team that's doing all the work here for SK Gaming. Enrated now coming across the side curve. Gonna try and speed himself up. Turns around, goes to Svenska. Has he got enough damage here to finish up? Svenska flashes, and he stays alive.
Svenska gets away from the glitter lance by the skin of his teeth. It ends up being a 4-for-3 trade. Millenium were very, very brave to engage on that one. They had no vision in the jungle. Look at the blue wards that's around Sven. There are none. That was a blind fight engaged that Millenium were just feeling desperation, feeling the power to pull something back. They overcommitted. Yes, they still got 3 kills. They also got the shutdown gold from Candy Panda. So at the end of the day, when you're 10,000 gold down and you're giving 300 gold to your opponents, that's not going to be as impactful as getting that 300 or 400 or 500 gold for yourself. So there's a small win, but they need to be more calculated in those decisions, because that was very deep and very aggressive.
We have over 10,000 gold now, the lead for SK Gaming. Millenium moving up to get some wards around the Baron. And that man there, Freddy, the troll at 605, working himself up towards Randuin's Omen now. Already shown that he's pretty much unkillable, or you're going to have to throw everything at him really to take him down.
No, I'll say unkillable. I'll say unkillable. Unless Freddy commits 1v5, I think he's unkillable. He's got so much regen with that Spirit Visage. He's fully tanking Baron right now. We'll see if Millenium can even interrupt this one. And the moment Subjugate gets thrown down, there's a lot of stats and regen that Freddy's going to secure. Kevin hasn't even started building tanky on Rise yet. We're at 27 minutes in, and Kevin has got a Rod of Ages, and that's it. He still hasn't finished his Archangel Staff, still working towards Seraphs. Got no additional armor, no additional MR. So yeah, that's not ideal, but when he does start building it, it's just going to get stolen by Subjugate anyway. So this late game Rise is going to be a super late game Rise because of how well SK have dealt with him. They were hyper aggressive, they ganked him often, and Rise is not a threat right now.
Not even remotely. Freddy, he's pushed this mid lane all the way to the inhibitor turret. 4 men from SK Gaming and moving in towards the top lane inhibitor turret. Question is, can they stop them right now? Dark Binding comes over, hits the siege minion there at the back. Man drop is going to come in. This could be a last ditch effort for Millenium. Cornex is in the middle. Wild Growth goes on to him. The shockwave at the back again was flashed away from. Kevin gets locked up. That's 2 men down here. Next focus is going to be J-Ree. Creaton as well being damaged. Zenith Blade at max range. Double kill for Candy Panda. Only 2 men left alive to defend for Millenium. SK can win the game right here. They've got super minions coming in from that bottom lane. They don't need no super minions though. Freddy is too damn tanky right now. They're just going to tank out these Nexus turrets. Kurt's trying to get in towards Jesus. It's Creaton that gets that kill. He will go straight down afterwards. Kurt still stalks around the backside, but the Nexus will get focused down here. Or will they? Will they want to kill Kurp? They want Kurp, and they get Kurp as well. And Rayton will have that one for free. The Nexus will fall, and SK celebrate that first place position going into the playoff with a dominant win over Millenium.
24 kills in 28 minutes. And that wasn't kills that were gifted to them. SK Gaming found those kills and earned those kills. The ganks, the roams, the decision-making was absolutely flawless. That is the most aggressive SK we've seen all split. I do not think SK Gaming have played a more in-your-face style of game in any of their other 27 matches this year so far. And it was beautiful to behold.
And that's the thing, there was not a single ounce of pressure on them coming into this game. Even to lose didn't really matter to them. But you want to finish the split with a win either way. They played it aggressively. They played. Now, sometimes we've seen SK and they might look a little bit